All right, we are live on Dodgers Digest. I want to thank everybody who's hopping on the stream tonight. It's been a crazy, as I pull up the chat here, what an amazing win for the Dodgers. Of course, coming back to beat the Dbacks tonight, 4-3 in extra innings. It was one of those crazy wins for sure that will be talked about because the Dodgers are very close, as we know, to dropping their fourth in a row. I mean, they were this close. I mean, Tanner Scott gave up that 2-run shot in the top of the 10th inning. And the Dodgers, of course, at that point were trailing 3-1. And, I think a lot of people were thinking, like, wow, maybe they're going to actually lose this game. But they actually came back and put 3 runs across the board in the bottom of the 10th inning to win the game 4-3. Just an extraordinary comeback win that I think the Dodgers this year are still proving to be the best team in baseball. Again, even when they're not at their best, they're definitely the most dangerous team. They have the best offense, and it's really hard to beat the Dodgers, right? It's really hard to beat the Dodgers. This was probably one of the most fun games to watch this season for sure. Probably, I believe, maybe opening day. That first series against the Tigers was really fun to watch, but today's game was a really fun game, right? Because it was a close game for the most part, and that's why I included on the title today for this video. I had to include, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, right? Yoshinobu Yamamoto had one of his best starts of his Major League Baseball career. He went, he had a no-hitter through 6 innings. Pretty crazy, right? I mean, he was throwing a no-hitter, and then he ended up giving up that no-hitter in the 7th inning, giving up the hit. But through 110 pitches today, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and like Earl Hershiser was talking about on the broadcast today, today was all about the curveball, right? Because we know Yamamoto has kind of, was primarily a fastball pitcher out in Japan, but now that he's moved out to the States, he's gone more to the off-speed stuff. He still has the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but he really relied on that curveball today, and it was great. And the D-backs really had no answer for Yamamoto for the most part of the game, right? I mean, for the most part, they were completely shut down by Yamamoto for the first 6 innings of this game, right? It was definitely one of those games that. It was a low-scoring game. Yamamoto didn't have a lot of run support, which I think is something to keep an eye on for sure. The Dodgers only scoring 1 run for the majority of this game, and then getting those 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning. But in the end, it didn't really matter. It's just funny how baseball is, right? Sometimes it just comes down to 1 inning, and 1 inning can change the entire game, right? Because the Dodgers are really struggling. To put runs across. They were, down and out, in the 10th inning, giving up, especially going back to the 9th inning, right? It was 1-0, and then Tanner Scott gives up that tying home run, and you're thinking, like, wow, the Dodgers going to, lose this game, right? I mean, that was a big moment, right? Gabriel Moreno getting that tying home run in the 9th inning, and, Tanner Scott has been disappointing. You have to say that. I mean, the Dodgers win today. You have to come out and say that Tanner Scott has been disappointing for the Dodgers, especially him coming over from San Diego. Was a top reliever in baseball last year. His ERA was under 2. He completely shut the Dodgers down in the playoffs. And with the Dodgers, moving over from San Diego, he just has not been the pitcher that the Dodgers hoped that he was, right? He has not. He has struggled at times. He hasn't been the best. He's blown games. He has not thrown 100 miles an hour. That's for sure. I mean, the 100-mile-an-hour fastball is gone, which is very concerning because he was hitting triple digits last year with San Diego, and that's not happening at all this year with the Dodgers. So I think that's what makes Tanner Scott a bit less dangerous as a closer. But really, in the end, it doesn't matter because the Dodgers, once again, I mean, their offense carries them that like it's been happening, the last few years, right? I mean, the last couple years, right? Especially, since Ohtani came over, and this year it's the same story again, right? The Dodgers sometimes they don't get the best pitching. They They struggled at times. Today, the starting pitching was great, right? I mean, the starting pitching was the best it could be. I mean, you can't complain about Yamamoto at all. I mean, he was literally throwing a no-hitter for the first 6 innings. So today was one of those days where, he was really on point and was had one of the best games of his career. This game was very similar to the game that he had remember last season when they played the Yankees, right? And he went was it 7 or 8 innings. He had 100 pitches. Now, what I'm hoping for when I was watching today's game, I was thinking I hope the Yamamoto doesn't get injured like he did last time, right? Because last time Yamamoto went this deep in a game, he missed 3 months after that, right? So I really hope that Yoshinobu Yamamoto, is going to be healthy after this start, and there's not going to be any arm issues. There was a moment in the 7th inning where I don't know if you remember, there was they got a couple runners on to make it 1st and 3rd, and it looked like Yamamoto wanted to come out of the game, right? He was looking over at the dugout. He was looking like he was tired. He really wanted to get out of the game. And Dave Roberts basically didn't even have a mound visit, which is kind of crazy how the Dodgers sometimes they don't even go talk to their pitchers, which is a little bit strange. But didn't have a mound visit. They just said, you got to stay out there. Our bullpen is really shorthanded as it is. As we know, the Dodgers have used up their bullpen so much this weekend, right? I mean, this past weekend against the Angels, they had to use a lot of bullpen with the bad starting pitching that they got in all 3 games. And then yesterday, Jack Dreyer was a complete disaster. He had to leave after 2 innings. So, it's been a really rough few days for the Dodgers when it comes to starting pitching. And I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto coming in and having the kind of start that he had is going to be super important for the Dodgers moving forward, right? I think this is going to be super important. Him coming in and, having the kind of start that he had, right? Eating up those innings, letting the bullpen kind of take a rest tonight, which is, I think, super important. The Dodgers needed it. They really needed a start like this, right? They really needed a start where they would get the starting pitcher to go deep, and that's exactly what happened today. So I think it's definitely a big win for the Dodgers, a comeback win, one of those wins that will be talked about for the next few weeks. Maybe who knows? Maybe the rest of the season will be one of those really fun wins. And Max Muncy is the hero today, right? Getting the sacrifice fly. And, the offense, the Dbacks didn't know what to do in that 10th inning, right? I mean, they took the lead at the top of the 10th. Corbin Carroll got that 2-run shot. And, maybe they thought they had the game, which they obviously didn't. But think about it, going back to that bomb of the 10th inning. There's just so many things to talk about in this game, right? Because it was one of those, really fun games to watch. The bomb of the 10th inning, I mean, the D-backs had to walk, 2 batters. They intentionally walked Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman to load the bases, right? I mean, that's crazy. 2 intentional walks in 1 inning, right? They loaded the bases up for first it was, remember, Mookie Betts had an opportunity and he flew out, and then Will Smith had that opportunity and he didn't get it done. So then Max Muncy got his chance, and he had, Will Smith got hit by the pitch, right? Will Smith got hit by the pitch, and that tied up the game at that point because his base is loaded. He gets hit by the pitch. That ties up the game, and then Max Muncy comes up, and he hits that sacrifice fly, and, they end up, winning the game, right, on that walk-off hit. And then also, Tommy Edman had a big play there, scoring that first run in the bottom of the 10th inning. That was huge as well. And just so many big key moments for sure in that 10th inning where basically the whole game was decided, right? It came down basically to 1 inning, and that was what decided this entire game. But for the most part, it was a close game. The D-backs seem to always play the Dodgers real tough, right? It seems like the D-backs always come to play, and they're one of those teams that really gives the Dodgers trouble. You don't want to play the D-backs in the playoffs, right? Because the D-backs, I mean, think about it, 2 years ago this D-backs team went to the World Series and they swept the Dodgers in the first round. So this is not a team that the Dodgers want to play in the playoffs, right? Which, unfortunately could happen, right? I mean, the D-backs are out of the playoffs right now. They're not a playoff team right now, but they're only a couple games behind the Mets there for that. The Mets for the last wild card spot, right? So they're just right there, trying to get into that sixth spot. I mean, there could be potentially 4 teams coming out of the National League West this year, right? Because right now, the Dodgers are in first place. The Giants are a game back. And then the San Diego Padres are 2 games back of the Dodgers, right? So it's very close. But right now, all 3 of those teams are in the playoffs, right? Right now, all 3 of them are in the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. So the D-backs were to get hot, or think about it, tomorrow they have an opportunity to win the series against the Dodgers, which the Dodgers, think about it, they really don't want to lose 2 series at home. Already lost to the Angels. They don't want to lose another series at home. So tomorrow's a really important game for the Dodgers. But the D-backs, could potentially get into the playoff conversation, and you could have 4 teams from one division making the playoffs, which of course never happened since they moved to the wild card round, which they now do in baseball. But the way it's going, the other divisions don't look very good. The National League Central is pretty weak this year, and then also the National League East has been a bit disappointing as well. So definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with the rest of the year when it comes to this division. But right now, got to focus on the Dodgers getting, breaking the losing streak, right? Because they lost 4 in a row coming into this game. Getting swept by the Angels, first time in 15 years. The Angels sweep the Dodgers in a 3-game series. And then yesterday was a complete disaster, right? It was one of those throwaway games, which the Dodgers were starting basically a AAA pitcher and Jack Dreyer, and then had Landon Knack come in, who's also a AAA pitcher after that. So, the Dodgers basically threw the game away yesterday, and we're kind of focused on Yamamoto coming in today. One of their, think about it. Yamamoto has now solidified himself as the best pitcher for the Dodgers. I mean, after today, there is no doubt about it. Yamamoto is the best pitcher that they have. I mean, there's nobody else on this team that the Dodgers can rely on. There's nobody else, right? I mean, right now, Glasnow and Snell are out indefinitely. Sasaki is out indefinitely. That's 3 starting pitchers down. And then what do you have? Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, the other 2 starters who haven't pitched really in 2 years. They only have a couple games. And they're definitely both rusty. Like we've seen some bad moments for both of those guys, unfortunately, for the Dodgers. So really, the Dodgers are down to just one good starting pitcher, and that's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So the Dodgers really cannot afford this guy to go on the IL. And that's the only thing. I was just thinking, watching today's game, I just really hope that Yamamoto is healthy after the, if he's going to, hopefully he's healthy. And he doesn't have any arm issues, or he doesn't have any arm discomfort after this game. Throwing that many pitches, I mean, these guys never do that now. I mean, they never go 100 pitches now. I mean, it's very rare. It used to be that, like maybe 10 years ago, right, it was 100 pitches. But now, especially Yamamoto, I mean, this is the most pitches he's ever thrown in his Major League Baseball career. So, yeah, I mean, that's where you just hope that, he stays healthy. And the big question would have been, watching today's game was, was Dave Roberts going to keep Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the game if he kept the no-hitter going? I mean, I don't know. I think he might have, because if he threw 110 pitches in this game, let's say Yamamoto has a quick 7th and then a quick 8th, I mean, he would be right there. So maybe Yamamoto would have had a chance to throw a no-hitter. I mean, who knows? That would have been interesting to see. Because I definitely do think, throwing a no-hitter is still a big accomplishment that, unfortunately, in baseball, it's kind of been lost, right? A lot of starting pitchers don't get that chance anymore. But Yamamoto, I think, the way the Dodgers were managing this game, maybe he would have had that chance. We'll never know. Of course, gave up that hit in the 7th inning. The D-backs, were kind of close earlier, right? There was some good defense that Yamamoto had, but really, it was a really good start, right? I mean, really, the D-backs didn't really cause any issues for him in the first 6 innings. I mean, they never had a runner in scoring position in this first 6 innings. The D-backs never made it to second base. And then the 7th inning, of course, the D-backs did, had the first and third opportunity after Yamamoto gave up that hit. So that was like the first time in the whole game the D-backs had a runner in scoring position. And really, if you think about it, they only had a runner in scoring position twice in this game. In the 7th and then in the 10th with the ghost runner. That was it. I mean, the D-backs really didn't have a lot of offense either. The Dodgers pitched well today. Well, Yamamoto, right, had the game of his life. But that's the story of today's game. I think the Dodgers had, there was key moments. They had the pitching, the bullpen pitching. Fortunately, Tanner Scott, it's got to be better, right? You got to hope that Tanner Scott could turn around because he just has not been the pitcher the Dodgers hoped that he would be. He just has not been that guy. But Yamamoto, big star today. Really excited to see, how the Dodgers, I think he's even the number one guy. I mean, I don't know what everybody thinks out there, but I think when Glasnow and Snell come back, which, could happen. We don't know. They're both out indefinitely. But if they do come back, I still think Yamamoto is going to be the number one guy, right? I really think Yamamoto has earned that. I think, think about it. He's a World Series champion. This guy has won the World Series. Snell and Glasnow haven't. Both of the two, quote-unquote star pitchers for the Dodgers that, of course, spent a lot. I mean, they spent a lot of money for Yamamoto, too. I mean, come on. They owe him $300 million. I mean, it's not like Yamamoto is on the cheap, but they owe him $300 million, and they owe the other two guys, almost $200 million. So right there, that's $700 million for just 3 pitchers, right? Guaranteed money. So the other two guys getting paid less over a longer period, they are getting more money on their, of course, average annual salary, right? Because Snell's only here for 3 years, and Glasnow's only here for 3 years, right? Because Yamamoto is a long contract. It's a 7-year deal. So they still got him for many years. He's getting less per year. These other guys are getting paid more because they're obviously older players. But they're all star pitchers, right? The Dodgers have basically 3 potential Cy Young starters. Well, Ohtani too, right? Which, we talked about earlier today on the other video that, threw 50 pitches in a sim game and, hasn't thrown to live batters yet. So there's no timetable yet for Ohtani, but I think it's probably going to be June, July, the way it's going with all the injuries the Dodgers have. I mean, they're going to have Ohtani back sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, that's the big key now. So the Dodgers have all these Cy Young pitchers. You have Glasnow, Snell, Yamamoto. You have Kershaw, former Cy Young, who doesn't look like a Cy Young pitcher anymore. He's, obviously a player that's clearly in decline and really struggled over the weekend. And that's going to be concerning, to see how he does the rest of the year. Because if that doesn't turn around, then I think the pressure to bring Ohtani is going to mount up. Because the Dodgers don't have a lot of pitching. They just don't have maybe other teams have minor league arms that they could go to. The Dodgers don't. I mean, they clearly don't. They've already gone through 4 different guys this season. Wrobleski, Bobby Miller, Landon Knack, Jack Dreyer. They've gone through it all. None of these guys are ready for the major leagues. So they really have to just work with what they have right now with the big club, right? There's nothing coming up in AAA that's going to help the Dodgers this year when it comes to starting pitching. I mean, I think that is already a fact, right? It's 2 months in. They've already gone through the best that they got in the minor league system. There's nothing else coming up. So they just got to hope these guys get healthy because it's going to be hard to go back-to-back and hard to win. Tonight, they win a game like today. The bullpen blows a game. They find a way to come back. It can't happen all the time, right? I mean, the Dodgers, it keeps happening, but I think eventually the luck does run out. You have to have, solid pitching to win in the long run. And today the starting pitching was super great. It was the best start they've had, in weeks, right? The starting pitching, I think, is a big story today. Yamamoto, I would have liked to see him get a no-hitter. It would have been fun. But, still had a great star for sure. And then, Tanner Scott, got to figure it out. And, really hoping for Michael Kopech and, also Blake Trinan. Those two guys, hopefully they could come back soon. Those two bullpen arms, you really need them to come back and really help out this team because I think it'd be, super important for sure. But as always, we're going to close this out. As always, make sure to subscribe. This is, of course, going to stay out there for replay purposes. And as always, let's go Dodgers. Woo!